3 months passed. The world moved on. Ethan Carter didn't. Every morning he woke up at exactly 6:30, the time Lily used to knock on his bedroom door and shout, "Daddy, breakfast!" Now, the house remained silent. Sometimes he still found himself pouring 2 glasses of orange juice instead of 1. Sometimes he bought Lily's favorite chocolate without thinking. Sometimes he walked past her bedroom, expecting to hear music playing. Each time, reality struck again. She was gone. Forever. Emma barely looked at him anymore. They lived under the same roof, but it felt as though an ocean separated them. One rainy evening, Ethan cooked dinner, hoping things might begin to heal. He placed 3 plates on the table. Emma quietly removed hers. "I'm not hungry." "Emma, please." She stopped. Without turning around, she said, "Do you know what hurts the most?" Ethan couldn't answer. "I don't remember Lily's last words." She swallowed hard. "But I remember yours." "I'll only be gone for an hour." The front door closed. Ethan stood alone in the dining room. 3 plates. Only one person remained. At Carter Innovations, problems were beginning to surface. The new investors wanted rapid expansion. They demanded layoffs, longer working hours, aggressive cost-cutting. Ethan opposed every decision. "This isn't why we built this company?" One investor smiled coldly. "It isn't your company anymore." Those words echoed through the boardroom. Daniel remained silent. That silence hurt more than the words. After the meeting, Ethan confronted him. "You knew this would happen," Daniel sighed. "We had no choice." "We always have a choice." Daniel looked away. "The company comes first." Ethan stared at his oldest friend. "No, Daniel. I made that mistake once. I won't make it again." That night, Ethan drove aimlessly through the city. Without realizing it, he stopped outside Lincoln Elementary School. The playground was empty. The stage where Lily had performed was dark. He walked slowly to the front entrance. There, near the sidewalk, fresh flowers still rested beside a small memorial. Someone had written in chalk, "In loving memory of Lily Carter." Ethan knelt. His hands trembled. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should have stayed. I should have watched you. I should have been your father before I was a CEO." For the first time since the funeral, he cried without trying to stop. A gentle voice interrupted him. "Mr. Carter?" He looked up. It was Mrs. Henderson, Lily's 4th-grade teacher. She sat beside him. "Lily talked about you every day." Ethan smiled sadly. "I wasn't there when she needed me." Mrs. Henderson reached into her bag. "I've been waiting for the right time to give you this." She handed him a blue notebook. "Lily's journal." Ethan hesitated. "You should read it." That night, he opened the journal. Most pages were filled with drawings, family vacations, birthday cakes, stick figures holding hands. Then he reached an entry dated 1 week before the school play. "My dad is the busiest person I know. Sometimes people get sad because their dads work too much. I don't. Because no matter how busy he is, he always comes. He promised he'll never miss anything important. My dad always keeps his promises." Ethan couldn't read another word. The journal slipped from his hands. He buried his face in his arms and sobbed until dawn. The following week brought another devastating blow. Emma handed him an envelope. He recognized it immediately. Divorce papers. "I can't do this anymore," she said quietly. "I don't hate you. But every time I see you, I remember that empty seat." Ethan's voice broke. "Please, I've already lost Lily. Don't let me lose you too." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "You didn't lose me today. You lost me the day you chose that meeting." She walked away. This time, she didn't come back. Days later, Ethan stood alone in his office. The room that once symbolized success now felt like a prison. He looked around. The awards, the framed magazine covers, the trophies, the photographs. None of them mattered anymore. He opened a drawer. Inside lay Lily's glitter-covered letter. "I love you forever." Tears blurred his vision. Without another thought, Ethan walked into the boardroom where investors and executives were waiting. Everyone fell silent. He placed his resignation letter on the table. One investor frowned. "What is this?" "My resignation." "You can't leave." Ethan smiled sadly. "I already left the people who mattered most. I'm not making that mistake again." He turned around and walked out. For the first time in years, he chose his heart over his career, but he had no idea that an even darker truth was waiting for him. As he reached the parking garage, his phone rang. It was an unknown caller. He answered. The voice on the other end said only, Ethan's heart pounded as he gripped the steering wheel. The unfamiliar voice on the other end of the line spoke slowly. "Mr. Carter, this is Officer Martinez from the Chicago Police Department." "Yes? There has been an accident involving your wife and daughter?" For a second, Ethan couldn't breathe. What happened?" "They were struck by a speeding truck while crossing the road outside Lincoln Elementary School." his vision blurred. No, they have been transported to St. Mary's Hospital. Ethan's phone slipped from his hand. The world around him became silent. He slammed the brakes, made a dangerous U-turn, and sped toward the hospital. Every red light felt like an enemy. Every second felt like a year. As Ethan ran into the emergency room, he saw Daniel standing near the entrance. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" Daniel lowered his head. "I heard the news." "Where are Emma and Lily?" A doctor approached. "Mr. Carter?" "Yes. Your wife is in surgery." "And my daughter?" The doctor hesitated. Ethan immediately understood. "No. I'm very sorry. Lily didn't survive." The hallway seemed to disappear. His knees gave way. He collapsed onto the cold hospital floor. The last image in his mind was Lily smiling from behind the stage curtain, waiting for her father, waiting for a promise that was never kept. Hours later, Ethan finally gathered the courage to enter the small room where Lily lay peacefully. She looked as though she were asleep. Her princess costume was torn. There was dried blood on one sleeve. A nurse quietly handed Ethan a small envelope. "We found this in her costume pocket." With trembling hands, he opened it. Inside was a folded piece of paper decorated with glitter hearts. It read, "To my daddy, thank you for always coming to everything I do. Today is the biggest day of my life. I love you forever. Love, Lily." Tears streamed down Ethan's face. He clutched the letter to his chest and whispered, "I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm so sorry." 3 days later, the church was filled with hundreds of mourners, business leaders, neighbors, friends, employees. Everyone had come to say goodbye. But Ethan barely heard the prayers. His eyes remained fixed on the tiny white coffin covered with lilies. When the ceremony ended, people offered condolences. "I'm sorry for your loss. She was such a beautiful child. Stay strong." The words sounded empty. Emma stood silently beside the grave. She had survived the surgery but suffered multiple fractures and emotional trauma. Without looking at Ethan, she quietly asked, "Did you make the meeting?" The question hit harder than any accusation. Ethan couldn't answer. Emma looked toward Lily's grave. "I hope it was worth it." She turned and walked away. The days that followed became unbearable. The once joyful Carter home fell silent. No laughter, no toys scattered across the living room, no little footsteps racing to the front door. Only Noah's confused voice echoed through the house. "Daddy! When is Lily coming home?" Ethan couldn't answer. He simply hugged his son as both of them cried. Weeks passed. Emma rarely spoke. She moved into the guest bedroom. Family dinners disappeared. Conversations became one-word replies. One evening, Ethan knocked gently on her door. "Can we talk?" She didn't answer. He entered anyway. Emma sat by the window holding Lily's favorite teddy bear. "I know you're hurting," Ethan whispered. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Hurting? You think this is just pain?" "My daughter died looking for you." Ethan lowered his head. "I made a mistake." Emma shook her head. "No, a mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner. You made a choice, and our daughter paid the price." Her words shattered what little remained of Ethan's heart. Meanwhile, Carter Innovations celebrated the successful investment deal. The company was now valued higher than ever. Employees applauded. News channels praised Ethan's leadership. Business magazines called him the CEO who never misses an opportunity. Every headline felt like a cruel joke, because he knew exactly what opportunity he had truly missed. One that could never be bought back. One that no amount of money could ever replace. That night, Ethan stood alone in Lily's bedroom. Her school bag still rested beside the desk. Her unfinished drawing lay open. Across the top of the page, she had written in colorful letters, "My hero is my dad." Ethan broke down in tears. He finally understood a painful truth. The biggest mistake of his life wasn't leaving a school play. It was believing there would always be another chance. The morning sun painted the skyline of Chicago in shades of gold as Ethan Carter stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of his office. At 38 years old, he had everything most people spent their entire lives chasing. He was the CEO of Carter Innovations, a technology company he had built from a tiny garage into a business worth millions of dollars. His face appeared regularly in business magazines. Universities invited him to deliver motivational speeches. Young entrepreneurs admired him, investors trusted him, and employees respected him. To the outside world, Ethan Carter was living the perfect life. But what made him truly happy wasn't the money. It was his family. Every morning, before leaving for work, Ethan prepared breakfast for his wife, Emma, and their 2 children. Emma often laughed whenever she caught him trying to make pancakes. "You own a multi-million-dollar company," she would tease, "but you still can't flip a pancake." Ethan would grin. "Because my real promotion happened the day I became your husband." Emma always rolled her eyes before kissing him on the cheek. Those tiny moments meant more to Ethan than every award displayed inside his office. Their daughter Lily was 10 years old, curious, kind, always asking impossible questions. "Dad, if people become rich, why do they still work?" Ethan smiled. "Because happiness isn't something you buy." "What is it then?" "It's the people waiting for you when you come home." Their little son Noah was only 6. His world revolved around toy dinosaurs. Every evening he waited near the front door. The moment Ethan parked the car, Noah would race outside shouting, "Daddy's home!" Nothing in the world felt more valuable than hearing those words. On Monday morning, Ethan addressed nearly 300 employees gathered inside the company's auditorium. "We didn't build this company because we wanted money," he told them. "We built it because we wanted to solve problems." Thunderous applause filled the room. His best friend and business partner, Daniel Brooks, watched proudly from the front row. Daniel had known Ethan since college. They had survived bankruptcy together, worked 18-hour days, shared cheap apartments, skipped meals, dreamed impossible dreams. Now they owned one of America's fastest-growing technology companies. "You've changed," Daniel joked afterward. "How?" "You've become inspirational." Ethan laughed. "I've become old." That evening, Emma surprised him with tickets for a weekend family vacation. No meetings, no investors, no phone. Just us. Ethan hesitated. "You know next week is important." Emma gently held his hand. "There will always be another meeting. There won't always be another childhood." Her words stayed with him. The following Friday, Ethan received unexpected news. A massive investment company wanted to buy 40% of Carter Innovations. The offer exceeded $100 million. Every financial advisor urged him to accept immediately. "This changes everything," Daniel said. "It changes nothing," Ethan replied. "My family already has everything we need." Daniel looked confused. "You'd walk away from that amount?" Ethan nodded. "I promised Lily I'd attend her school play next Friday." Daniel stared silently. "You realize this meeting could define our future?" Ethan smiled. "My future is wearing a princess costume in a 4th-grade school play." Daniel laughed. "You really are impossible." Friday finally arrived. Parents packed the school auditorium. Children nervously waited backstage. Emma saved Ethan a seat in the front row. 5 minutes before the play began. His phone vibrated. Daniel. "Ethan." His voice sounded different. "Where are you?" "At Lily's school." "You need to come immediately." "The investors arrived early." "I can't." "You don't understand. They're threatening to cancel everything." Ethan looked toward the stage. The curtain was beginning to open. Lily peeked through the curtain, searching the audience. Their eyes met. She smiled the biggest smile he'd ever seen. His phone continued vibrating. Daniel again, again. Emma whispered, "Don't answer." For a moment, time stood still. One decision, one choice, one path would change his future forever. Family or business. Ethan slowly stood from his seat. "I'll only be gone for an hour," he whispered. Emma's smile disappeared. "What?" "I'll make it back before the ending." Lily looked into the audience again. This time, her father's seat was empty. She kept searching. She never found him. Ethan rushed downtown through heavy traffic. His heart felt strangely uneasy. He kept telling himself, "It's only one school play. There will be more." The city lights blurred outside his windshield. Then, his phone rang. It wasn't Daniel. It was an unknown number. Ethan answered. "Hello?"